Welcome back to Beyond the Desk, and today for our 13th episode, we're going to be talking about a week in the life of visitors in Medellin and Sabaneta. Hi there. How's it
Hello.
going?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm getting over a little bug that I had, but I am. So if I sound a little nasally, that's the reason why.
That
But
little bug was the flu.
that little bug was the flu. I know. I have trouble saying that, right?
I
I've
see
never had it
that.
before.
I know.
I feel like
You've been telling people you have
diseased.
a cold
Bad
instead
cold.
of the flu.
I've had a bad bug or a bad cold.
Let's just say it knocked you down.
Never been knocked down like that before.
Right.
This was new, but I am on the mend, so I might clear my throat a little bit, but that's just the nature of sending it. But today, we have a ton to go over, and we're going to be talking about essentially our itinerary for our upcoming trip in February.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Right, so we're traveling to Colombia,
Yes.
February 13th through the 20th, and we have our itinerary pretty much buttoned up. We know kind of what it would look like to
Right.
travel there for a week and things to do, things you can do. And then we have some agenda things as well.
Yes.
Right.
Because we're looking at like a semi-retirement lifestyle down there for, half of the year. So what would that look like? So being able to work from our laptops, but still be able to get out and about and explore Medellin and Sabaneta and Envigado and the little surrounding pueblos,
Yeah.
they call them. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's our digital nomad lifestyle. This is what it's going to look like. So,
And you haven't really looked at this yet, have you?
I've briefly looked over it, but sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes I look at them just to make sure I'm not caught off guard,
Right.
but I don't dive into them intentionally,
Yeah.
right? Because I want it to be as organic as possible. And if it's just staged, that's no fun. But let's talk about our first topic. So we're going to talk about experiencing local culture and cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
So jump us into day 1 and 2.
So a couple of podcasts ago, I believe we were talking about Colombian cuisine. And one of the things that I said that I'm so excited about is to visit the local mercados. So we are going to do that. Obviously, we want to make sure that we have coffee and snacks and meals and things like that we can cook in the Airbnb.
So I was just going to say, in the event this is the first time somebody's heard us, episode 13, they never heard anything before. What is a local mercado?
A local mercado is a grocery store.
Perfect.
Run by a local. And then they have the supermercados, which is more like, a big Target or Walmart or someplace where they have both clothing and toys and all that kind of stuff, plus food. So going there, and we're going to try out some local dishes. So in Sabaneta, it has what we would call here in the States like a little town square where they have their church. They have this beautiful park called Parque Sabaneta. And then all in through there, they have these local restaurants with different kinds of foods, but a lot of local Colombian cuisine.
I'm smirking because Sadie's getting a little sassy.
She is a little sassy right now.
Sassy, and if it gets to be a little too much, we might have to just pause.
For sure, and let her have her moment.
No, I mean, food is such an important piece of this because, culture of how you operate on a day-to-day is one thing.
Right.
But how we're going to be eating and consuming and cooking and going out and trying different things, that's also a really important piece to this whole experience.
I'm sorry. I'm a little distracted by
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to pause real quick, and then we're going to come back after.
I think that's a great idea.
A few moments later.
So we were talking about the local Colombian cuisine in the town square area of Sabaneta.
Right.
And so we're going to try some Bandeja Paisa. We're going to try the local arepas. And then, oh my gosh, I cannot wait, babe, to try the Colombian coffee. That is my favorite coffee out of any coffee I've ever tried. I'm a little bit of a snob with coffee.
Yeah, and I love you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're French press people.
Yep.
We make exactly how much we want, but we make it exactly how we want it. Matter of fact, even the way you make coffee is a little bit different than the way I make
Yes.
coffee. And with our French press, we're able to really get it exactly how we like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. We do make coffee very differently. I like the taste of coffee.
I like the effects.
So you have a lot of cream
Yeah.
where I have just a splash of some almond
I'm
milk.
more of a mocha
For
type
sure.
of person. Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to try. And we're also going to hopefully be able to visit some areas where we can see like what apartments we might be interested in, for long term, and then potentially, purchasing
Right.
some property there. Most people live in apartments in the cities, where if you are outside of the cities, you might choose an actual house, or casa. So we'll take a look and see what happens. But I think that, we hop in an Uber and we just look around Sabaneta. I mean, there's only like 85,000 people in Sabaneta, so it's not that big, but you and I are more quiet people. And so we might want to live up in the mountains a little bit, maybe 7 minutes outside of
Yeah.
the city center.
And also visiting Envigado. Right?
Yeah, we want to
So
see
that's part of
Envigado.
our day 1, day 2 rough draft, if you will.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough draft. Some things might change, meaning day 1 might not happen until day 3 kind of deal. But
because we also have to tentatively book appointments with folks, and we've talked about in the past the culture and how sometimes people just don't show up to appointments, right? And that's just the nature, and those are
Right.
things we're going to have to get used to. So having a liquid itinerary is going to be important for us for adjusting to that culture.
Yeah, I actually emailed the lady with Sura. She has never gotten back to me via email, but the minute I hit her up on WhatsApp, I received a message back within minutes.
Yeah.
So email is not the preferred communication.
You said it either last episode or the one before. Everything's done via WhatsApp.
WhatsApp is it, correct. So that's day 1, day 2, just kind of going around looking at things, seeing where the mall is, what it looks like, what kind of shops they have. And I'm really looking to find out, can we truly have that mix of a little bit of how we operate here in the States, and then also being able to experience that Colombian culture at its finest. And Sabaneta is really we're going to get that more traditional feel there than we would in Medellin.
Yeah.
So, and then day 3.
Tres,
Coffee farm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited about this. I think I showed you a couple of pictures. Maybe I sent them to Mom, but
yeah, that wasn't me.
Yeah. So we actually get to go and listen to the history, all about the coffee from start to finish.
Think wine tour, but for coffee.
Yeah, but for coffee.
And I did actually a wine tour in California,
Mm-hmm.
Napa Valley. And not that I drink wine now, but I have so much respect for wine and the wine community after being educated.
Right.
And so I hope to, walk away with similar insights and respect for coffee as well after we do this.
Yeah. And so they're little red beans, where most people, we see them after they've already been roasted as a whole bean. And that is not at all, we're not seeing that beginning process and what an actual coffee bean looks like.
I would say it's closer to like a cranberry
sort of
look.
Yeah.
And then after the roasting and everything, it turns into that chalkier brown, what we know as a coffee bean now. Yeah.
And Colombian coffee is picked by hand. They don't have machinery to go through, because it's up in the mountains. So they don't have machinery that can get in there and go like you would plow through a field,
or
if you
like
will.
An orchard, shake the tree to get the stuff that's ready to go.
So you have to go in there and pick it. And they have bags that they tie around their waist, and they all wear hats because the sun, right? They want to stay protected. And then they wear long sleeves and pants usually. So we are going to go actually experience that and taste the coffee afterwards.
Very cool.
Very, very excited about that. So this is like Finca La Grosa is one of the places, one of the coffee plantations, and I can't remember the name of the one that we're going to visit, but it's just outside of Medellin. It's not too far. Of course, we sit in a bowl in the jungle and we're surrounded by,
Right.
the mountains. So when I say go up into the mountains, it's not technically that far from where we'll be. So bean to cup process, and then we're going to get to taste. And then we'll also, as we hop around from restaurant to restaurant, be able to taste the different, because not all of their coffee comes from one coffee farm, right? There's so many coffee farms in
and
Colombia.
hopefully be able to understand what the various words and terminologies
Yes.
mean as we're trying them in different places after we get this thorough education.
Coffee. And so around day 4, we may take a trip to Guatape, and they have a massive rock. You can either walk the 740 steps to get up to El Peñón, Peñón, Penon, and the N has the little Enye. Yeah, Enye, Peñón. So we can do that, or I believe they have an elevator. Pretty sure we'll be taking that elevator.
Well, I was going to say I'll meet you at the top.
Right. I would maybe take the steps, maybe. But anyway, they have breathtaking views.
It depends on how breathtaking the stairs are. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be amazing. It is a
That's why they call them breathtaking views, because your breath is taken from the hike to get to the view.
Is that what it is?
That's exactly.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, and it cost about $35 US to do that. And in Colombian pesos, which I use the Wise app, it is an amazing app to be able to do that conversion for you between USD and Colombian pesos. And in Colombian pesos, that would be 138,735 Colombian pesos. It's different from regular pesos. I thought originally that it would be the same, but it is not. It is different.
Significantly different.
Yes.
Even from the Mexican peso to the Colombian peso is a huge difference.
Right. And Wise also lets me know where the Colombian peso is every day, because that does change. And right now, it's a little over 3,900 pesos convert, to the $1 American dollar.
Okay.
So there's also boat tours and things that we can take around Guatape, the reservoir that they have there. It's a huge lake. It's beautiful, blue waters. It's incredible. And then there's also the Pueblito Paisa of Medellin. It is one of the most visited tourist sites there, and it has 3 elements to it. The Antioquia, which is the region where we'll be staying, is reflected in the crafts, gastronomy, and the architecture of the place. And it supposedly is supposed to have a beautiful, beautiful view overlooking Medellin. So, and that the valley that we'll be in is called the Aburra Valley, Aburra. Yeah, Aburra Valley. And then there's something that I don't know that you're going to be too excited about. I am super excited about. We're going to see if we can fit this in. But they have some beautiful waterfalls there. That's a little bit of hiking.
You have in your note, suggest a hike to the local waterfalls.
Suggest a hike to the local waterfalls, such as Chorro de las Campañas, and that is a part of Medellin. So they have tons of natural landscapes. In one of our podcasts, Chad, we talked about the amount of the birds and the different flowers and plants and things that Colombia has.
Very diverse.
Very, very diverse. So that'll be really cool to see. And we're going to be there in February, but it is pretty much the same temperature all year round. This is known as the City of Eternal Springs. So we're looking at 70s and 80s, year round. So I'm excited about that too, although they do have rainy seasons. So
right.
September, October, November, I believe. Really October.
I'll take a rainy season over, 8 inches of snow.
8 inches of snow. Yeah, it is super cold here today.
Yeah.
Got in the 20s last night. And I think there's a difference between late 20s here in Michigan in the fall. Technically, we're still in the fall,
or the spring.
but moving into in the spring, moving into that winter that's in the 20s is definitely a difference.
20, yeah. You take 40 degrees of winter and 40 degrees of spring in the very. We're wearing t-shirts, 40 degrees
Yeah.
spring, and we're bundled up in snuggies in the fall.
Yeah, unless I have a hot flash,
Heating
and then it's all over.
blankets.
Yeah. So another thing that I thought we could do is a historical walking tour. Now we can do that in Medellin. Some of them are free, actually, and you would just maybe throw your guide a tip, or some of them do cost money, but they're less than $20, $20 USD,
Cool.
that is. And then they take us to some of the cultural and historical sites through Medellin. And one of those would be to Comuna 13. And that's a separate tour, but there is tons of graffiti there. This was the area during the whole Pablo Escobar, when the Medellin cartel was at its height. There were more deaths. It was the number one murder capital of the world at one time. And when you go through Comuna 13, there were so many murders that happened in that comuna. And the purpose of it is not to necessarily talk about Pablo Escobar. You want to avoid that really, but to really take a look and see what the Paisa people have done with this particular comuna, and really all of Medellin, to see that how hard they've worked to bring Medellin, to come out of that dark time. So that's exciting. And so there's Plaza Botera, there's Museo de Antioquia. There's lots and lots of stuff to do. There's the gardens that we can go and visit. So we get to choose from any of that we would want to do. We can also take a trip up the cable car, which is supposedly spectacular. I'm a little nervous about that, being that high up on a cable car, but that is a typical commuter express for people.
Which also may not have the most stringent of safety inspections.
I don't think it does. No, but their metro system is really amazing and cheap too. And then I think our 7th day, probably just relax and take it all in. We're going to spend some time at Parque Sabaneta, where their church, the beautiful little white church, is there. Iglesia de Santa Ana is the name of that church. And again, local eateries and just kind of hang out. And I just spoke to somebody, via YouTube, and they live in Medellin, but very familiar with Sabaneta. And he said, he's Colombian, like from there. And he said that Sabaneta was a beautiful little city, very, very safe, tons of traffic. However, very safe compared to Medellin and other places, and a place where people are very nice and very kind, and I think Paisa people are in general, but he said Sabaneta had a little bit more of that, so super excited. And that's kind of the itinerary that I have right now, and I think that's doing a lot every single day. And you know us, Chad, that if we decide we don't want to do something and we're more at peace doing something else or happier doing something else, and we'll do that. But that's
we might find some food and eating our underwear in the room. Who knows?
Who knows?
We get to choose.
Yeah.
Right. But it's nice to have an understanding of things that we can do if we do decide that that's what we want to go out and do.
There's cooking classes, really, really cheap cooking classes where we can have a Colombian chef come in and show us how to make a typical Colombian meal. There's all kinds of things, and that would be done at our house.
No, we're also
we're staying.
Yeah, we're also going to be we're taking more time off of work during this Christmas break than we will be during our trip to Colombia. Because a big part of it is integrating that work-life balance while still exploring, figuring out what hotspots look like. Is it safe to carry our stuff around? Where should we go? Really just getting to know what does that look like to still cater to our clientele, but also still live this new digital nomadic life.
Right.
So,
that brings us to the next little segment.
For the Christmas break, I'm taking off December 22nd through January 3rd, where during our trip to Colombia,
we're not.
The notice that I'm saying is that I'm I'm traveling, but I'm still going to be, I might be delayed, but I'm still going to be
Sure.
working, and I'll be educating our clients on that as well. So, yeah, jumping into balancing work and our digital life, work hours. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that a little bit.
And one of the reasons we also chose Colombia is that there's only 1 hour time difference here in the States from where our clients reside.
Right.
And had we chosen Spain, we would have been working 3 to 11 in the evening, basically, to be
Which we
able
would have
to.
made work,
We would have, absolutely.
but that is a significant difference in 1 hour off.
Yeah. And we will get to Spain eventually as well. But for this go around, we're
Right.
definitely going to go to Colombia and see what it's all about. But yeah, so what we're doing now to really prepare for this, you and I are working diligently to come up with processes and procedures that work for us that can get this stuff done quickly and make our customers happy, like exceed their expectations, which is how we work. It's a part of our work ethics, but still be able to have a lot of time to go out and explore Sabaneta, Medellin, Envigado, or any other pueblo that we want to go see or activity.
One of the tech things that we have to do is we have to get a micro router, which is about this big. And what it does is it allows us to plug into the local internet, but it has a VPN that makes all of our technology think that we're in the United States. That way we still have access to our tools, because sometimes in other countries, you don't have access to the same tools and websites that you would in the US.
Right.
And so that's going to be one of the requirements as we're going through looking at potential places to rent is, do we have access to that router so that we can plug our equipment in?
Yeah.
We can't go 5 months.
No.
Get blocked from certain tools that we use, right?
And there's internet speed as well. So there's lots of questions that you need to ask. And we're going to talk next week more about that long-term apartment renting piece and talk a little bit more about great Wi-Fi. I mean, I don't know too many people that at our age can just go ahead and retire, right? So if you're being a digital nomad, the internet's a necessity. You have to have it.
Yeah. I mean, our VPN, we have it built into our phones already, but
yeah,
when it comes to our laptops, how do we guarantee that this knows, because we might be working out of cafes.
Right.
Right. And so that's part of this, is kind of like a little trial run of a couple of days of what does it look like to do a regular day's work wherever we are. Did
we decide if we're going to do our podcast while we're down there?
We'll continue to do recordings, whether we, because we're there for a week. So it'd be one episode. I think it's a good idea to do some recordings, whether we can pile it into a podcast or we just sit down and do one. But we'll bring content from there one way or another for sure.
I think it would be great so that we can talk about what we're experiencing right then and there. I think that'd be a really good idea. And that is also a part of our work hours, because this podcast is included in the work that we do, even though it's really enjoyable to do this podcast. It's a lot of fun. And what does it look like for you? Let's go over your work schedule, because we'll sit at our computers and work for hours upon hours.
Yeah, I'll see you walk by and then look at the clock and realize I need to eat lunch. It's and it's not that I'm necessarily a workaholic. It's just once I get focused on something, I get locked into it. So for me, we now have the convenience of having our own offices that are separated by a wall, but 2 rooms, but we have our own offices. So we have our own places that we can work within the house because we work together.
Yes.
We're going to have to make sure that's something that we think about for our setup wherever we land, right? We need to have those structured areas. My work cadence, and you mentioned we're putting together systems and processes. We've been literally timing ourselves on certain tasks so that we can say, we know how long it takes us to do this particular item. This is what we can ramp up to. I have to get better at doing that, because right now what I do is I sit down, I go through my email, and I treat it like a task list. And then once I'm done with that, be it 30 minutes or 3 hours, then I move on to the other items. It's not a good system. It's not a good process. So I have to work on what my systems and processes are going to look like in order to still achieve the results that I want to get, but to where it's, fluid and dynamic enough to cookie cutter wherever we are.
Yeah. And so that we can actually enjoy, because the whole point of this is for us to enjoy each other, ourselves, a new location. This is where you were born, right? So being able to really experience and have these experiences, moving forward and not continue to be stuck in that rat race like we are now, sort of. We're not as rat raced as a lot of people are going to their 9 to 5 jobs.
No,
But you and I will.
we looked at the calendar. We said, let's take 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, let's do it.
And then what can we do ahead of time to make sure that we don't have to do a whole lot of work in between that, or no work, during that 2 weeks
The
off?
whole point is we get to choose what
We
we
get
do.
to choose.
Yeah.
That's it. Exactly.
So really right now we're in December. We're figuring out what do the processes look like with our business as it sits now. What is it going to look like as we scale up?
Yeah.
And then can this be duplicated in a foreign country?
Mhm.
Right. Those are the things that we're looking at right now, because before we were working on different projects. We had different, we'll call them jobs, but you worked, 100% on your nonprofit. I worked 100% with the clients. Those are integrating a little bit. And so really, we just have to make sure that what we set up in place now is duplicatable elsewhere, but scalable.
Right.
Right. Because we do have one company that we're looking to essentially bring somebody in to where we can step back from it 97%.
Right.
Where we take strictly just an ownership role, do regular, maybe monthly cadence calls with this operations manager, and then that's it.
Exactly.
Right. And because we don't want to close the business. It has its successes. It has a great brand in the area, but it's something where we can't be in it anymore. Not with the life that we're choosing to do now.
Yeah.
So we have to plan for that.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that. And with my nonprofit called A Courageous Voice, anybody wants to check out that website, it is acourageousvoice.org. I'm going to do a little plug here. We have a huge fundraiser coming up in April at Top Golf in Auburn Hills. So check it out. If you would, like to sponsor or go to that, purchase a ticket, that's where you can find all that information. But we teach children in schools and other youth serving organizations how to stay safe both off and online. So it's a very important role as founder and CEO that I play, and raising the money to hire a part-time executive director so that they can then take over a lot of these day-to-day operational tasks. And that would give me the opportunity to really work from my laptop more and being able to reach out to potential funders and things like that. So taking A Courageous Voice, taking Ever Studios Creative, which is all online already, and being able to continue to write the blogs for companies. That's what I do, and manage their Google profiles and things like that. So being able to have the tools in place and the people in place, and with Ever After Photo Booth Company, having all of that in place so that when we do go, which we said, November through maybe March?
Yeah, we're looking somewhere between 4 and 5 months.
4 and 5 months, yep. And it may be shorter to begin with. It could be longer. We don't know yet. But being able to have everything here with our businesses, organizations, everything in place so that we can be able to go down there and have this lifestyle. So, and you do need people to help you with that sometimes. So hiring the right people, and be able to have, like we just brought another really great tool that we use now. And all of these things are helping us become more efficient and still be able to do a great job for our communities that we live in, and customers, clients.
Right. That's exactly it. I mean, we don't ever want to stop growing.
Right.
But also we want to continue to get better and implement tools that allow us to scale, right? Because if we can help 15 clients instead of 10, that's the goal, right?
For sure.
But our plan is never to burn ourselves out. Like you said earlier, living the partially retired life,
right,
where we can choose to go and do what we want to do. That's the whole point of all of this. So
that is looking at that digital nomad lifestyle and trying to be as proactive as we can today. And just so you know, Chad, we're 2 months away from our trip. So super excited. We're headed to Florida the week after Christmas. So we'll be down there with your dad's side of the family. So that's going to be really amazing. And definitely we need some downtime because we've been working, I think, twice, two or three times as hard than we normally would just in preparation to try to get ourselves to that digital nomad lifestyle, in preparation to be able to make this trip in February and see what it would actually be like.
Yeah, I
So,
kind of equate it to like you start in, May building a house
yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's October and you're in like that crunch time.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is we're going to be able to live in that beautiful house. So
Yeah.
yes, we're working really hard to create it, but we're going to be able to relax in it very, very soon.
It's going to be really nice.
So let's do a really quick recap of the things
Yeah.
we're doing. So day 1, day 2, exploring local mercados, checking out food. Day 3, we're going to be talking about coffee, going on a coffee tour, right?
Yep. That's about a half a day coffee tour. So then, whatever we want to do after that, we can.
What do you got for day 4 and day 5?
Day 4 and day 5. So we can either take a trip to, let me see if I pronounce this right. I just said it earlier. Guatape, yes, Guatape, and go up to that really big rock, Peñón, if I said that correctly. Or we can go to the Pueblito Paisa. That's has traditional Colombian housing in there and lots of shops and different things like that where you can go visit. It's a little pueblo, which is a little town, is what that means. So those are the things that we can do, or we can take a boat tour on the Guatape River. And then day 5, if you want to take a hike somewhere and really like, let's look at the jungle, if you will. Let's take a look and see what it's like, to hike through a little bit. And I don't think it's a really hard hike.
Oh, you don't know.
I
I
don't.
appreciate that, but you have no clue. Day 6, we're going to be
It
talking
just
about
called me out.
day 6 historical walking tours. We can do it on our own, or we could hire somebody and just have them teach us about what's going on.
And then we can go down to El Centro, which is downtown Medellin,
Yep.
and just learn a lot more.
And take a day off. Take a day off and enjoy it, making sure that we're integrating our work life into all of this that we're doing, that we're making our appointments to chat with, potential places where we could rent and live, right? So it's a working trip, but also taking it in is, really getting to understand it.
Right. And if any of our listeners have been to Medellin, please send in like your comments or anything that you would like for us to know ahead of time, tips, tricks, whatever it might be. We would love to hear from you. And then again, next week, we're going to be talking about long-term renting. This will not be an in-depth part because we want to go and experience that first, and then we'll have, I think, more information available to folks. But talking about the costs, the potential struggles, and what you need to do to prepare for that. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Chad, do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
That is a chalkboard wall behind Amy. So we painted a chalkboard wall. I know if there's questions about why it's constantly changing behind you.
Says hola.
Says hola currently. Yeah. Who knows what it's going to say next week?
Who knows? So until next time, keep expanding your horizons and living beyond the desk. Have an extraordinary week.